Welcome to Wildlife Conversations. I am your host, Jen Ritchie, and I just want to welcome everybody tonight. And it's kind of a special night. It is our actual birthday. A year ago today was the first Wildlife Conversations podcast with Michelle Osterhus. And now we've had 26 episodes and 4 quick chats. And I just want to thank everybody for being such a big part of it and being so supportive. I've had so many wonderful guests, and I just want to thank all of you. And I also want to thank Robert's Camera, who came on recently to help support the podcast. And if you want to know more about them, you can look at robertscamera.com, and you can also use the VIP code they made just for us, Jen Ritchie, VIP, JENRITCHIE, VIP, and you can get 10% off used gear and 10% off some accessories. So I want to thank them as well for being so supportive. But I also am so excited tonight. It's the perfect birthday gift to welcome my guest. She is an award-winning wildlife photographer with work from all 7 continents and over 100 magazine covers and feature stories for Time, Smithsonian, BBC Wildlife, Popular Photography, Ranger Rick, and Nat Geo Kids. She specializes in baby animals and is known for her great groundbreaking work with tiger cubs, newborn cheetahs, brown bear cubs, sloths, and so much more. She has 29 books, including New on Earth, which I have right here, Babies in the Wild, and is working on an elephant book right now. As an engaging speaker, tour leader, and conservationist in her own right, she's a patron of several conservation groups and the founder and executive director of Girls Who Click, a nonprofit dedicated to creating the next generation of female nature photographers. Her work has been in my home for many years via Nat Geo Kids, Ranger Rick, her books, and a cheetah print is in my daughter's room right now. It is my pleasure to welcome Suzi Eszterhas. Hi, Suzi.
Hi, Jen. Thank you. You're right. I'm embarrassed.
You're embarrassed with this big intro. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for
Yes.
having me.
I'm so glad to have you. So I want to tell everybody, please say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're listening from. Oh, thank you, Pamela, for the happy birthday. Thank you, Mike, for the congratulations. You guys are so sweet. People are saying hi, Suzi. Oh, that's nice. That's so cool. So tell us where you're listening from, and we're going to have time later for live question and answers for Suzi. And someone's from Stevensville, Montana. Hi from Wisconsin. Hi, Danny. How are you? So we have a lot of people that join us regularly, and it's become kind of a little Wildlife Conversations family. And Jackie says hi from California. Oh, sorry, Jackie from Miami. This is going by too fast, guys. Carrie, Jessica, Mike. Oh, they're excited. I told
Oh,
you they
that's
might be
fun.
chatty. They're chatty tonight. It's good. I love this. So you just got back from recent travels, right?
Yeah.
Were
Yeah.
you in Africa
I
or?
was. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was in Zambia and Botswana,
Mm.
leading one of my annual photo safaris that I
Oh,
do
that's
for
nice.
people. Yeah. It was really nice. It was great.
I keep hearing great things about both those countries.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
Botswana, I have loved for a really long time. You know, when
Hmm.
people say,
Hmm.
like, where should I go in Africa? I'm going to go on one African safari in my life. And I say, like, if your budget allows, go to
Hmm.
Botswana.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
Zambia is like coming in hot as a close second. It is, it feels a little wilder in a way
That's what
because
I've
it's
heard.
not as well traveled.
Yeah.
And you know, the only thing I would say about Zambia is you have to kind of pick and choose your locations carefully because there aren't as many private concessions. Most things are in a
Yes.
national park. So you do have issues sometimes with going off-road and potentially crowding. So you have to be careful where
Yeah.
you go. But yeah, it is an absolutely stunning country.
Yeah. It seems like we do need to be careful, just the things that are coming out lately about all the unethical behavior. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, choose very
yeah,
wisely.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I have not gone yet, but I want to. It's on my list. So
Yeah,
someday I will.
yeah,
But this career has been on your heart since you were 6. Is that
yeah,
right? Like your mom said, you didn't pick this job, it picked you. You've known since you were 6, even
yeah,
photographing your cats in your backyard, like jungle
yeah.
animals.
I was a super nerd and I was, yeah, I don't know, weird kid. I like knew right off the bat, 6 years old, announced I was going to go live in a tent in Africa. And I think at first I was kind of drawn to the whole Jane Goodall, Diane Fossey thing because I was
Oh,
seeing that
yes.
in documentaries, and then I loved Hugo Van Lawick was a beautiful documentary filmmaker
Mm,
and a legend when I was growing up, and I used to watch his documentaries about the Serengeti over and over again. So that's probably where I got the idea, and
mhm, mhm.
but then quickly it was like I don't know, by the time I was like 8, it was like, I'm going to take pictures. I'm not going to be a scientist. I'm going to take pictures. And I had my little point and shoot. I actually got that when I was 6. So I was already
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
photos of like, yeah, like you said, like cats being like tigers in India in the backyard. It sounds
I
silly.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that,
And
like, it was an environment where you could do that too. Like, your mom wasn't like, "You can't do that. That's weird."
no, my mom was so cool about fostering our interests. She was scared
Yes.
of anything in nature. So when she took me, I became a total bird nerd. I loved birds and I
Yeah.
learned every species and I went bird
Mhm.
watching all the time. I started in my backyard just watching birds and squirrels. I was the kind of kid where like I didn't fit in at school. I got bullied a
Mm,
lot. School didn't feel
mm,
safe to me and I just wanted
mhm.
to go home after school and hang out in my backyard
And that would
with
be very
like
feel very
dogs and
safe.
cats. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm,
Dogs and
mhm.
cats, but also lucky enough to have some forest where we had some wild animals that came too. So I started like feeding everything under the sun, like skunks, raccoons. And then my parents got mad because the skunks were nesting under the house. They're like, no more feeding mammals, only birds. But they were very good about fostering my interest, particularly my mom. And she would like
Yeah.
take me out to these nature reserves being so scared of anything in nature. She was scared of like
Wow.
lizards, bugs, everything, but she took me out. She was a trooper. She was like an absolutely amazing mom. She still is. She's in memory care now, but
Yeah.
she just is like and was like just a champion at just like breaking through her own boundaries to, kind of cheerlead her kids on. So
Yeah.
she really fostered my interest and bought me like tons of books about wildlife. And, even though
Mhm,
she was, when
mhm.
I wound up like later moving to Africa as a young woman, she was absolutely terrified,
I'm
but was
sure. I'm
go
sure. I
live your
wondered
dreams.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but she
Yeah.
was always like, go live your dreams, just be
Yeah.
careful,
I
go live
love
your
that.
dreams.
It's
I
so
know.
important
So
because she could
especially
have
for
said to you,
girls.
yeah, I was going to say she could have said to you, but girls aren't doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think it came from her. She was a journalist and she was like
Hmm.
the first female journalist on the police beat in the state of Ohio. So she
Wow.
was a bit of a trailblazer before she had kids, and then she became a full-time mom when
Yeah.
she had my brother and I. So I think she had that background of like being a bit of a pioneer herself, like more than a
Yeah.
bit. She was an amazing pioneer.
Yeah.
And so I think she really believed in, from my dad, I got some of the stuff of like, girls and it's not safe for girls to do this and that, but with
Yeah.
my mom, she was just like, try to be safe and live your dreams, which
Yeah.
is
I'm sure dads are
amazing.
just a little scared. They're girls
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So then you go to college. There's not a wildlife photography degree. So you decide
No.
on environmental studies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and so I first I did so I didn't have a major. I went to Boulder for my first 2 years
Hmm.
and then went did this semester abroad in Tanzania. And that's where
Wow.
it just really solidified, okay, I want to live in Africa. I learned Swahili, so that was very
Wow.
empowering and very
Mhm.
useful. And also just immerse myself in that culture because the program I was in was almost like a little mini Peace Corps. So like at the age of
Mhm, mhm.
19, I was being exposed to all these things that I wouldn't normally be exposed to. And then when I got back from that, I just sort of figured out that Boulder wasn't the right place for me. And I chose Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz. And
Mhm.
because at the time, I think they still do, they had a very flexible major program where you could essentially create your own. So instead of creating my own, I did this environmental studies major with like a fine art minor and started taking photo classes
Yeah.
but I was driven like when I was accepted into that school, I went and actually talked to the professor and said he was the head of photography. And I said, I'm pursuing a degree in environmental studies, but the only way I'm going to go to this school is if you let me in one of your photo classes every single term. And he was
I
like,
love it.
okay. But he could see that I was driven and I was very passionate. So he
Yes.
said yes, which was actually really nice because as a non-art major, it was very
Mhm,
hard to get into those
mhm.
classes.
Yes.
So I had his support. I didn't have the support of my peers. They were like, "What is this girl doing?" I was coming in with like elephant seals giving birth and stuff, and they were doing fine art. So I
Yes.
got creamed in peer reviews, which is good
Yes.
because it gave me a thick skin.
Yeah.
that came in very handy later in life. But I did have that professor that was really supportive.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We've
Yeah,
talked about that before. I think I mentioned to you Siler Peralta Ramos. We talked about
yeah,
that, how
yeah,
when he had to kind of do that too, and that his wildlife photography was not considered art. And that
yeah,
was, we were like, but it is art. We could argue it is art in certain, like
yeah,
in certain ways that you do it. Certainly there are research shots that people take, but I think what we're doing, it is art. But he had the same, we were talking about the same thing, that pushback in
yeah.
the fine art thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a
Really
huge
interesting.
pushback, and
Yes.
sadly, I mean, Siler's young, it's still there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not widely accepted. And then, some forms of wildlife photography aren't even really accepted in photojournalism in
Right.
a way, right? So
Right.
sometimes wildlife photography kind of feels like it doesn't have a place, and then especially more so now because it's so hard to make a living at it. It
Yes.
doesn't feel like a profession anymore either.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's
Right.
definitely a bit of a weird job, I think.
Well, I have heard you talk about cobbling things together, and we talk about that a lot in this podcast. People are cobbling things together to try to make it, or doing it on the side, or most of us just love it and just try to do the best we can. But so then you get your college degree, but you're
Uh,
still working at the SPCA,
Yep.
in Santa
SPCA.
Cruz.
Yep.
Yes, for 6 years.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you got a flexible schedule, and so that allowed you to kind of work on your portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. I had this boss at the SPCA that was amazing and believed in me,
That's
and
awesome.
she allowed me to structure my schedule so that it was 4 10-hour days. I
Mhm,
would spend the other 3 days a week building my portfolio and working on my photography. And then she also allowed me to take like a month off and
mm,
go to different places. And so I was getting also some jobs already while
mhm,
I had that day job, and mixing the two. So
mm.
it was a great job to have. I had odd
Yeah,
jobs in college of, like waiting tables and stuff like that. But like this one was great because I was around puppies and kittens all day, and who can
yeah.
complain about that? And I was writing and I was taking pictures of them. And so it was a really
Yeah,
good day job to
yeah,
have.
that's
Yeah.
wonderful. And
Yeah.
so you talk about a really transitional moment that
Hmm.
came with
Yeah.
a call to go to Africa. You'd been waiting for like a couple years for maybe cheetah cubs. You had happened to mention it when you were
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
you get the call, and it's a
Yeah.
huge moment in your life.
Yeah, so it was a big moment, and it came at a time when my life was lacking in many ways. I think I was in this day job where I felt like, God, I'm never going to make it full time. I was still
Mhm,
only, part-time selling pictures, getting a little
mhm,
bit more and more, but definitely very slow. And I was not happy. I was dating a man that was physically abusive, and I shouldn't have been in that situation. So I was in a bad situation, and I had been in that situation for about 7 years. So
wow.
I felt very stuck. And
Mm,
and I just got this email binging into my inbox, and they were from friends that owned a lodge, or that ran a lodge. They didn't own it, but letting me know that cheetah cubs were out and about. And I just decided to make this huge change. And I don't think I even realized it at the time. I don't think I realized how big it actually was. But looking
right,
back on it, it was really
right.
big. I decided to, I quit my job, and I took all my money out of savings. I dumped the boyfriend. I put everything in storage. And then just like within 5 days, I was in the Serengeti, trying to find these cheetah cubs.
That's
So
so cool.
yeah, and it completely changed my life. I wound up moving to the Mara, from the Serengeti. And then this is at a time where like the Mara was an amazing place. And I was in a corner of the Mara that really wasn't getting a lot of traffic or tourism. And so it was a dream come
Mhm.
true because I
Yeah.
could be like alone with mom, cheetah, and 5 cubs all day. And I was driving myself, and just, living the dream. And I decided to stay 3 years. And so I
Yeah,
stayed in
2
that.
months turned into 3 years.
Yeah, I stayed in a little bush camp, that I
Yes.
set up, and then hired a security guard, and, kind of things kind of snowballed from there for setting up electricity. And then I got solar, and then the whole 3 years I didn't have a toilet, but I did
Mm,
have a shower. And but yeah, it was an incredible experience. It really
yeah.
was.
And it
Yeah.
seems like that focused, determined girl and woman was back. That's what it
Yeah, I
seems
was
like to
totally
me.
back. I was
Yeah.
back. I mean, I had to like go crawling back to my boss and be like, "Can you give me some work?" Because I ran out of money while I was there. And then I was like writing the companion magazine for the SPCA and sending it from the tourist lodge to her on email.
Oh, wow.
And then she was plumping money in my bank account. So it wasn't like completely smooth by any means, but it
But
worked.
that's what our 20s are for, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make some bad
Exactly.
decisions and then hopefully come out of it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I have that book because you did your cheetah cubs and then you moved on to was it lions or jackals? I can't remember what you said.
Lions came right after it, and I spent a couple months with lions. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was like 18 months with cheetahs, and then a couple of months with lions, and
yeah,
then just kind of moving from different species to different species.
yeah. And then you had the Moto and Me, that book.
Yes, I got an orphan serval kitten, and
This
I
is
raised
such a good
him.
book. People should get this. I like it as an adult, but like you can get it all ages.
That's like my best-selling kids book for
It
sure,
is
like to
so
this
cool.
day. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and so that was an amazing experience as well, being able to raise him and then him
yeah,
going back to the wild. It was very emotional and very beautiful. I had
yeah,
him for 8 months, and it was not something that I ever done before. So that
yeah,
that was really nice just to be so close to wild animal, but also for them to with that entire time loving this animal, knowing that you want them to leave you, and
yeah,
that you
yeah.
want them to go to the wild. And it's like fully devastating when it happens, but it's everything you want for them.
Right,
So it's
right.
very emotional. Yeah.
Yeah, what a privilege to do that, and then
It
it
was a
kind of
privilege.
carries on in the rest of your work because you know you're just getting a moment with them and you want them to be wild and rehabilitated, and that feeling
Yeah.
kind of happens over and over, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does. And
Yeah.
when I work on these long projects that are months, and
Mhm.
I work with individual moms and they're young, and you get so attached to them and you root for
Yeah.
them, over this period of time, and give them silly names in your head, and then babies die, so some don't make it, and
Yeah.
that's so devastating, right?
Yeah.
But then also just, yeah, you just root for them to
Yeah. Like
to
your leopard
succeed.
book was a couple years, wasn't it? You went back many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
was 2 years, and it was like 6 shoots over 2 years,
Yeah.
and, I think all told it was like 4 months or something that I
Yeah.
spent with the family. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you
And
get very
that was a
attached.
really good guide you had for that whole project. It
Yeah, so I
seemed
mean,
like.
that's one of the things, is that especially now that I can afford it,
Yeah.
and I have more connections, I can get guides. When I was younger, I was just, driving myself and going to myself to all these places, and there's obviously some risks with that as well, particularly as a woman. But
Yes.
also beyond the safety factor, just having a guide is incredibly helpful. And this is
Yes.
why I always include them in my books, is
Mhm.
because they're such an integral part of my team,
Yes.
to know these animals like the back of their hand, to know, where they hang out, when we're going to find them, and all these little details that I wouldn't know even as a wildlife photographer. And so they are absolutely critical to your success in the project.
Mhm.
And Yeah, and then you develop deep friendships with these people that you work with on the ground too, because
Yeah.
it's a team effort. Every project is a team effort.
Yeah. Well, it does seem like your preparation for these projects changed. Like I would have been terrified in my 20s to go alone. That's what just I love about your story is like you don't seem scared at all. Like because of that, I think sometimes when we love something so much and
Hmm.
that determination and passion will kind of push out that fear. So sometimes I feel that now that I've found wildlife photography.
Yeah,
And so I do wonder like what would have been like in my 20s because I don't know if I would have been scared. But,
yeah,
I do love that about you, like, you just didn't seem scared to do that.
yeah.
You're very brave.
And I don't think I was until I got into some really bad situations, and then
Yeah.
I was like absolutely terrified. Most of those
Yes.
situations with humans, but a couple with
Yes.
animals. But generally speaking, I think that, yeah, when you're that passionate, and then the youth thing as
Yes,
well,
yes.
overrides that fear.
Yes, the
And I look
invincible.
back, yeah, and I look back on some of the things I did, and I think, okay, that was reckless.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want my stepdaughter Danica ever doing that.
Right.
But I
Right.
think also we all look back on our youth and say
Yes.
that about certain things, right? Like,
Yes.
so it's not that different than other people. But yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely didn't feel fear and probably had moments when I should have and didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the preparation changed because you go from not having any money and you're doing everything yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
buying everything yourself, strapping it all together yourself. But then whenever a little bit comes in, you can tell that then the team starts building when you start designing your
Totally.
projects.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
things start to get more fluid and I start to meet people. I start working with scientists, I start working with
Yes.
conservationists, I start working with guides now that I have some money.
Mm-hmm.
I start staying in, places that are safer than where I used to stay, which just like
Mm-hmm.
pop tent in the middle of nowhere in Africa, that kind of thing, and but yeah, things got a lot more sophisticated as I
Yeah.
as I went on. And then always with every project, even when I was young, I did this, but I really believe in researching your subject because for
Yeah.
me, this is more about wildlife than it is about photography. Like
Mhm.
people have asked me before, if you had to choose between one or the other, I would pick wildlife hands down because
Yeah.
I would not be happy photographing anything else. I just want
Right.
to be with wildlife. So I feel like what my photography is my tool
Mm-hmm.
to like expressing my love for wildlife, but it's really the love for wildlife that drives me and wildlife behavior especially. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been
Mm-hmm.
fascinated by behavior. And then knowing that behavior makes us better photographers, but it also helps us plan our projects better. So I always go into a story with a shot list that I want to get. And I'm not going to get all those photos, but I always have a shot list. I do a ton of research online, usually scientific journals,
Mm-hmm.
about the behavior of my subject. And it can be right down to like, because I'm dealing with babies, it's like, okay, this animal breeds year round, but is there a slight peak? And if there is a slight peak, what is it based on? Is it based on insect availability? Is it,
Mm-hmm.
and I can create a better project that way if I'm better prepared.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is more than a Google search, everybody.
Yeah.
This is like
No.
the real scientific journals and the scientists you're talking to. And even when we scheduled this, you said it's August 20 will work unless I get a call. And
Yeah.
it's like you're
Yeah.
on call for those
Yeah.
babies, which is so
Yeah,
cool.
so I'm usually on call for a birth of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's completely dependent on like the project, but at the moment I'm working on lion cubs, and
Mm-hmm.
so I've been on call for a huge part of this year for
Mm-hmm.
births. And then yeah, it's just sort of everyone in my life knows that, when I'm on call, like the only thing I don't cancel are my photo tours because I can't because people would
Yeah.
hate. But other than that, everything else goes out the window
Yeah.
if the
Yeah.
animal gives birth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I get false alarms too. Like I had 3 false starts for this lion cub project
Oh,
where I had
goodness.
flights booked, was ready to go. And then, like just an example, one of the false starts was like where the female had the den was now surrounded by water because the floods had come in. So yeah, so there's and then sometimes litters don't make it and
Yeah.
moms are seen without their cubs,
Oh,
or
that's too
no longer
bad. Yeah.
having suckling marks around their nipples. So I
Mm.
always joke like I'm on nipple watch too, because I ask like guides to send me photos of nipples because not only can you tell if an animal's suckling, but you can also, if you're really good at it, you can tell if they're pregnant and how pregnant they
Yes,
might be.
yes, yes, yes.
So yeah,
That
I
is
have weird
hilarious.
men. Yeah, weird
That's
men are
not a
sending me
t-shirt you
photos of
want to
nipples.
make.
Yeah,
Nipple
totally.
watch.
Sounds really weird. What do you do for
But
your job? I get photos of animal nipples from strange men in Africa. Like, that's
but
weird.
it makes a lot of sense. I was
It
just in
does.
Alaska this summer and I literally sobbed watching triplets nursing all over their mom. And like the pictures like have milk spurting out and everything. And I'm like, this is awesome.
What about the
I've
humming? How
never
about the
paid.
humming?
Yes.
The humming
That
that
was
I
the
didn't,
biggest, that was the biggest surprise to
yeah.
me. And I
How
immediately
many species do that?
I couldn't stop crying. I literally couldn't stop. Like I was
Yeah.
choking, trying to
Yeah.
stop. And Siler was next to me and he turns and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Mm.
But it was just like I couldn't control it. It was so beautiful. And the
Yeah.
hum was so loud.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
triplets. So it was
Yeah.
so loud. It was so
Yeah.
beautiful. But yeah, I've been looking at those photos close up, looking at all the nipples.
At the milk bar. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's so fun. It's so fun. And I know that you've talked a little bit about your time cover after Antarctica and that trip being kind of the first time you realized what you were up against in
Yeah.
the photography industry
Yeah.
and the things that people said right in front of you. That was
Yeah.
I was going to say that was shocking to me, but it's actually not because things like that have happened to me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
share with us a little bit about that experience and then maybe some things that were said or that happened.
Yeah. So, I think there's like two moments, like, for me, because I started traveling to places when I was so young, to places
Mhm.
where women are oppressed and
Mm.
there's a lot of sexism and sexual assault. And I sort of, this sounds terrible, but I sort of expected it when I traveled to other cultures, right? And I
Right.
learned very early, like part of my um, training in college when I was learning Swahili and stuff was also like to dress appropriately and to dress modestly and all those things. So you sort of, think about it when you're going to travel, but like for it to happen at home with your own peers is quite shocking. No one really prepared me for that. And as
Mhm.
I think most women don't enter the workforce knowing that
Right.
this could be an issue. Maybe now they do, but back then they
Right.
didn't. And I think one of the first things that happened to me was I was at a NAMPA conference, and I won't say any names, but one of the top names in the industry that I admired tremendously. Actually, I absolutely adored his work, and still do. He's a very talented photographer. We had met before, and he knew who I was, and I was in line behind him, and he was in front of me with a bunch of his buddies, and I we were in line to get a latte, and he turned back to me and he said, Susie, the little girl's line is over there. And I was so shocked and so unable to deal with it. I said nothing and went to the bathroom and cried by myself.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and then I got kind of angry that I didn't say anything or do anything to defend myself because that's not my usual style, actually.
Yeah.
Like when I was a
Yeah.
kid and I was bullied, I was kind of a like eventually fought back and became a bit of a badass. But at this moment, I was very paralyzed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then yeah, and
Well,
then
as someone
fast
you
forward.
respect, that's hard.
Really
That's
hard. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
just someone I respected. I, like,
Yes.
idolized work. It
Yes.
was
Yes.
amazing. So then, and then, when I was working on that, expedition in Antarctica
Mm.
as one of, 12 staff members, and I was the only one that was a woman, and then I got hazed first, really really badly, and it
I'm
was
so
really
sorry.
hard, and I was made fun
Mhm.
of a lot. um and there, in that situation, it's like you don't really know, are they doing it because I'm a woman, are they doing it because I'm new?
Mhm.
And then it became extremely clear to me that it was all because of my gender, and sort of culminated in this moment when we were on shore and I was walking, in Antarctica, you split up. So I, as one of the leaders, took 12 people this way, and then, other leaders took other people other ways. And I was walking up with my little group up this hill, and there was radio chatter, and we always had our radios turned up really loud
Mhm.
because so that we could
Mhm.
hear over the wind, right? And you never knew if like the wind was going to die down and then your radio's really loud, but you needed it there for safety at a high volume. So
Mhm.
I'm walking up, and there's quite a few women in my group, and I'm walking up, and they're talking about, I can't remember the location, but there's a hot springs on the beach, and they were
Oh
talking about
no.
someone getting someone to kind of pave the way to do that later in the afternoon, and that's what we were going to do, and blah blah blah. And then one of them said, yeah, let's go to the beach so that and then it was something like, and we can get Susie in her bikini so we can see her ass. And at that moment, my radio volume was really up and the wind was really low. And all the women in my group could hear it and were absolutely horrified. And they actually complained. Um,
Good.
and I didn't, but they did, because again, I felt somewhat paralyzed. And then the behavior sort of got better after that. But yeah, it was a really tough, it was a 30-day expedition, and it was
Oh
really tough.
goodness. And on a
Yeah.
ship, right?
on
Were
a
you on
ship,
a
and I was rooming with a guest because I was the only woman. So they
Mhm.
didn't put me with a male staff member, which is great. So I was rooming with a guest, and we became very good friends. But
Mhm.
yeah, I was like, I'm mortified to say it now, but I was like crying myself to sleep a lot because it was such a hard thing to deal with. It was, hazing and bullying and sexual harassment. And at the time, when I was going through those emotions, I don't think I really labeled it for what it was.
Right.
So yeah, it
Well,
was
I
very,
think
very
pre-Me
difficult.
Too, many of us went through those things thinking that's just the way it goes. They get to do that.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
that's kind of how it
Totally.
was growing up and even working. I was a teacher for a long time, and it's like that's kind of the way they got to talk and, yeah, I just think
Or denying that it had anything to do with your
oh,
gender. Like,
right,
oh,
yes.
well, it's probably not because I'm a girl. And then in hindsight, you look back and it's like, no, that is definitely because you were a girl.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Uh,
And I
yeah.
know it's taken me a long time to have a voice too. I've had to just in the Tetons recently, a man was yelling at me out of his ca stood up in his truck and
Mhm.
yelled over me and said, "I had to look at your ass the whole time." Because I was out of my car shooting moose like everyone does and I wasn't gonna do anything, and I was
Wow.
trying to be very kind, and then he said that, and I went back to my car, and then I came back, and I said, "Sir, you would not have said that to a man, and it's disgusting, and I'm an ethical photographer, and you will not talk to me like that." And I mean,
Yeah. What did he say?
he still was screaming, and, but it was just like
Yeah.
it's still happening. It's still
Right.
happening, but now I feel like I have a voice, like, "No, that's not okay. It's not
Right.
okay," you know?
Right. Yeah.
So and then you had
Yeah.
another moment. Did you have another moment after the Time cover where you felt
Well, I mean, there's been a lot
a
of
lot of
moments.
moments?
So I'm not, in terms of like specific moments, there have been a lot.
Yeah.
And I've definitely also been in, some really bad like safety situations,
Oh, I can
where it was
imagine,
like,
yes.
when I was a lot younger, I was thrown into a vehicle and someone was trying to kidnap me and I had to fight my way out of it. And then I was like, when I was living in the Mara, I was almost arrested by 12 drunk poachers who accused me of, drunk rangers who were accusing me of poaching, which obviously I wasn't doing. And they were
Right,
just trying to
right.
get me into custody. And they showed up at midnight, all completely intoxicated with guns and
See,
everything else.
that's very scary, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot.
yeah, yeah. So there's been a lot.
It's
Yeah.
not funny, but it's
Yeah.
just like, oh. But I
Yeah.
know that you've heard things like, "Well, she'll be pregnant in 4 or 5 years, so we
Oh
don't need
yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
messing with
That's a good one.
her,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she'll be
She's gonna
barefoot and
be barefoot
pregnant."
and pregnant in
Yeah.
10 years.
You just wanna have a
Yeah.
baby, that's why you're photographing baby animals, things like that.
Yeah. Well, and I literally like that barefoot and pregnant comment was again from another top pro. And it was said in the context of like, do you think Susie will succeed? Like one of the other members of the group was like, do you think
Mhm.
Susie, this is a different trip, by the way. And
Mhm,
this
mhm,
was in Alaska. And it was like, and
mhm.
he was like, no, I think she'll be barefoot and pregnant in 10 years. And yeah, or like, yeah, you're the baby animal photographer, so you're obviously going to have kids. And even some people whom I adore said that about me.
Yeah, yeah,
Of like, that you're going to have kids, you're not going to be anything in this career because you photograph baby animals, you're going to have a kid and then be a
yeah,
full-time mom and not make it.
yeah.
Um, which there's nothing wrong with being a full-time mom. My mom was a full-time mom and she was the best, but it
Mhm,
wasn't
mhm.
at all in my plans. And people
Right.
like refused to believe me that it wasn't in my plans.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then of course I also got pigeonholed as the cute baby animal photographer. And I remember my ex-boyfriend who was in the industry telling me, you shouldn't say that you specialize in baby animals. Like you don't want to pigeonhole yourself as a baby animal photographer. And I'm like, well, why not? And he was like, well, that's just kind of embarrassing. I'm like, why is that embarrassing? Why can't I own that? Why can't
Yeah,
that be my
it's so
specialty?
wonderful. It's my
Yeah,
favorite part. Like, I know, like, some people specialize in the big bull elk and the big male lion, so why isn't it okay for us to photograph the females and the babies and, you
right.
know
And then also like cute, yeah, like how often do you see a cute magazine cover that's not for kids?
Right,
Right.
right, very true,
So
yeah.
baby animals have this thing of like, oh, that's just for kids. And I won't deny that kids have a really powerful connection to baby animals because they can relate, right? They're like
Yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of at the same age as me. They like to play with mom. They like to play with their siblings. Kids can
Mhm,
relate to that, right? So it's a
mhm,
beautiful fit. I love
mhm,
doing kids books. I love doing kids magazines,
mhm.
but cute animals don't get any, for the most part, don't get a huge amount of respect from
Yeah,
adults. How often do you see cute animals winning competitions? That's why, like, the
yeah.
couple photos I've had that have won competitions that are cute, I'm quite proud of because
That's
I
true, that's
actually
true.
made the judge choose a cute animal.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, that's a good
but yeah,
point.
and then some men have like this aversion to cute where it's like, oh, that's cute. And it literally will make them bristle. And I've thought about this a lot over the years of like, why do some men, usually particularly macho men, but why do they have such a visceral reaction to cute animals? And to be honest, I think it's because cute animals open your heart. They make you
That's it,
vulnerable.
vulnerability, yeah,
They make you vulnerable, they open your heart, and it's very threatening to some men to feel vulnerability. That's not how we raise our boys. You're
right,
not supposed to feel vulnerable. And if
yeah,
you are, you're supposed to most definitely get rid of it, do anything you can to not look vulnerable.
yeah,
And then we come in with that visceral reaction where, like, oh, yeah, it's just a cute baby animal. But that is
yeah.
still very much alive in the
That's
industry.
very interesting,
You
yeah.
can just see in terms of what's
It's true.
published, what's winning competitions, etc.
That's true. I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch even more now or go back and look. Yeah, that's so true. Well,
But it's what I'm passionate about, so I'm never gonna
yeah,
change, you know?
yeah, no, you don't we don't want you to change. I love your work. We love it. We love it. Yes. Well, I was telling you before we started recording that I feel like in the last few months, well, in the last I've been doing this now since 2017, but met so many people in the last few years, men
Yeah,
and women who have just fallen in love with this, and I've had some really sweet texts from men saying, "I didn't know that you all were treated this way. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm gonna open my eyes a little bit better. This is crazy that
yeah,
people talk to you like that, or you're feel invisible or whatever." Um, so that is really nice. And my mentor is a man, so I know there are amazing men that are supporting women. But in the
yeah,
last few months, just hearing from some of my friends and colleagues, like things that are said to them on workshops about their bodies,
yeah,
about just like snapping at them in front of other people, or like you're not going to be a wildlife photographer if you don't have a certain kind of body, which I look in the field and there's people of all different sizes and shapes, you
yeah.
know. So for a man to say that to a woman in front of other people, so, on the one hand, do you have advice for those of us who are starting after 40? And then, like, do you have advice for us as we're in the field, like what to look for in a good mentor? So, those are a couple questions.
Yeah, so, I mean, first and foremost, if you're traveling in, like, a photo tour,
Hmm.
you wanna pick and choose your photo leaders very carefully, and I'm not saying to avoid men at all.
No.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying to make sure you vet your leaders and talk to, you should be able to ask a photo leader, hey, you know, could I talk to someone else that has traveled with you before? And
Hmm.
if you're
Hmm.
a woman, you can say, can I talk to another woman that has traveled with you before? Um,
Hmm.
that's not unreasonable as a request. And if a photo leader doesn't want to do that, then they're not the kind of person you would want to travel with anyway.
Yeah, that's
But I
true.
would explain why. I would say, like, hey, I've been uncomfortable traveling with certain, male tour leaders or whatever. Um and then someone should be very willing to have you talk to one of their clients. Um, and then the other thing too, I would say is if things happen in the field at the moment, obviously you want to keep like safety in mind. And if you're dealing with an absolute lunatic, you would want to be careful. But if you're not dealing with a lunatic and you're just dealing with someone who's being a bit of an a-hole, then
Hmm.
what I would do is stand up for yourself, which I do regularly these days,
Mm.
and say something to anyone that's making comments like that, particularly if it's in a group setting. I would just call that person out right then and there and not let them get away with it, because I think people are used to getting away with little comments like that.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes they are very taken aback if you actually say something in front of the group.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other thing too would just be, I do believe that in certain situations, a buddy system is good
Yeah.
to, I went obviously when I was younger everywhere by myself. Now these days, I often bring my assistant whom I adore and is very entertaining, and I love being with her.
Mhm.
But it's also great for safety, and also if we have any men that we have to deal with that are not cool, it's like two of us, which is a
Yeah.
much more powerful thing. So I think the buddy system in groups of
That's a good
sisterhood
idea.
is
Yeah.
really a good plan to,
Yeah.
having women, there's women that travel with me that go on, they travel together with friends all the time. And I think
Mhm.
that's really very, very useful. And
Yeah.
there's certain situations I think that are more intimidating than others. Yours, Yellowstone, is a super intimidating situation. I don't know about it recently, but when I was going, which I haven't been in many years, but it was like mostly men,
Mhm.
um, usually very macho men, and I felt really alone and very kind of on the periphery and pushed out.
Is this like in winter or anytime?
It was any time for me,
Interesting.
but again, I
Interesting.
haven't been in many years.
Yeah, I
And
think
I
it's
just hope,
changing. I hope it's changing. Yeah. This winter, 13 of us got a snow coach together and had a whole women's snow coach together for the whole
yeah,
day. And
yeah,
but it is a lot of men. I've never seen so many men on snowmobiles and all that. And there was gawking and, it's like, oh my, I
yeah.
haven't felt this much testosterone in a long time.
Yes,
But
yes,
but we were all there with our long lenses and
yeah,
in Yellowstone now, there are so many women shooting the bears and,
yeah.
running their own Instagram accounts and things, and so I hope it's changing.
Well, and I think a lot of it's really ironic, but I actually think international tours have
Mhm.
more women than the domestic tours.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, my groups are always, I would say, like 60% women, 40% men. But the men that travel with me, I don't think they would travel with me if they were those kind of men,
Right,
and
right, exactly. You
they wouldn't.
attract what you are. Yes.
That's very true, right? And
Yes,
if
yeah.
if you're generally, I mean, every once in a while I get a bad egg, but like if you're kind, you're going to attract kind
Yes,
people,
yes.
which is actually very true.
It's very
But yeah,
true.
I think that, I do think it's getting better, but I think it's going to be there for a while. But as we were saying earlier too, like I think some of the younger male photographers are so much better with this. It's just like not really in their wheelhouse
Yeah,
to act inappropriately. Not all
right.
young, but many of the young male photographers are way, way better and way more inclusive, not just when it comes to gender, but also race,
Yes.
sexuality, the whole deal. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I don't wanna miss talking about Girls Who Click. Whenever
Yeah,
I first started, I looked it up and I'm like, "Darn it, they don't have anything for people that are 44."
I know. I know. And
Because I feel young as a photographer, But it's like, um, but I just love what you're doing for young women, and so tell us a little bit about Girls Who Click.
yeah, so Girls Who Click, I started when I turned 40,
Mhm.
and I just did it because I don't know, I was in this sort of spiritual time of my life where I was trying to be of service to people. I'd always done stuff for wildlife conservation, but I wanted to do something for humans. And I was also feeling like I think when you turn 40, you kind of just like you're sort of more empowered and just like, all right, instead of just burying my head in the sand and doing my own thing, I actually want to do something to change this situation. And
Mhm,
so
mhm.
I started by just running free wildlife photography workshops for teen girls in Monterey. And then when my peers saw what I was doing, a lot of them, my colleagues reached out to me and said, hey, if you ever need help, I think what you're doing is amazing. So then I just got this idea. I found it very fulfilling and I loved it. And I got this idea, well, I'll just ask those people that reached out to me if they want to do the same thing in their hometowns. And then we started with these like satellite workshops for teen girls. And that was for ages 13 to 18. And that was wildly successful for a couple years. But then we kept finding that there were women that were older that were trying to get into the career that were around the age of college age and a little bit older,
Mhm.
and we wanted to serve them. And so we created the ambassador program, which is for ages 18 to 30.
Mhm.
And it's for, essentially young women who need a mentor.
Yeah.
Um, and this mentor will help them not just in terms of career stuff, but also other aspects as well. And we also have our ambassadors have created, we have these meet and greets, and now we have this community and this sisterhood. And this is what I think I'm most proud of with Girls Who Click, is that we have created sisterhood in a field where sisterhood did not exist. It
It's
had
so cool.
absolutely no place. And now we have this huge community of young women that can share their work with each other, but also share stories. And a lot of our meet and greets are like very emotional, where women talk about sexism or sexual harassment, or like, uh, the emotional side of being a conservation photographer when you witness really painful things that are happening in nature from humans, and how
Mhm.
to deal with that. And it's become this community that is really, really strong. And it's all just people donating their time and energy. So I'm super, super proud of
That's
what
wonderful.
it is. Yeah, we started in 2017 and we've grown a
Mhm.
lot. We're still
Mhm.
very small, but
Yeah.
yeah, we've managed to serve a lot of young women.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a little bit of kind of what this podcast has done a little bit. I'm definitely not out teaching people, but there is an invisible web starting of
Yeah.
like, you might want to be careful of this, or how,
Yeah.
it is a very emotional field too, like just to be
Yeah.
able to talk about the highs and lows, the joys, and like some of the heartache over it. But also just like, hey, if someone said that to you, we don't want other women to have to suffer that either. So,
Right.
maybe
Right.
we need to like quietly say, let's pick a different tour.
Yeah.
Let's pick a different thing.
Yes, exactly.
And you don't have
Exactly.
to publicly say anything bad
Right.
about anyone, but you can just steer people like, well, maybe this person would be good.
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
don't want people to be hurt. I really just don't want people to be hurt.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, I think that's just so important. And it's exciting to see that you're helping girls fulfill this, and that if you would have had that when you were younger, like that would have been amazing, I'm
It would
sure.
have been a game changer.
Yeah.
It was like, I seriously was like, I felt like I was on a very solo mission for
Yes.
most of my career until
Yeah.
I started Girls Who Click. And
Yeah.
now I feel like that has really created not just awareness, but like I said, community and sisterhood where it never existed. So,
I want that at 43. We need women who click too. Yeah, we need women who click.
yeah, totally. If we had the resources, we would.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
maybe
know.
one
I
day
know.
as we grow, we'll aspire to be able to serve all ages. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We just have to help one another, Danny. We'll just help each other. Everybody over 40, everybody over 30. So you have upcoming projects that are
Yes.
coming up, but you just talked about your lion project. Are you still waiting for lion cubs, or
No,
did
so
you?
we've got the Cubs,
Okay,
and right now we are following those Cubs over about a year period,
that's so
maybe a year
fun.
and a half. Um, and we've done a couple shoots already.
Mhm, mhm,
And there have already been some trials and tribulations. Like we have one cub that is the remaining cub of a litter of four.
mm,
My usual work is to work with one family, but when we arrived, there were three litters in the same pride. And so what we essentially did was like, okay, let's just work with this pride. So the
mhm,
story is
mhm,
about the pride.
mhm,
And then within that pride, the youngest litter, um, the mom lost three. We don't know how.
mm.
And there's a remaining cub, and that cub, on our last shoot, we watched mom reject him. So talk about emotional. Yeah, Becky and I were like sobbing, um,
Oh
because
no.
she very actively and very aggressively rejected him. Um, but what was quite beautiful and is I wouldn't say common, but happens with lions since they're social cats, is the
Mhm.
other two females that were suckling. So this little cub, we named him Stumbles. We always do silly names, but Stumbles, because when we found him, he couldn't walk yet, but
Mhm.
because he was so little. But Stumbles was accepted by them
Oh,
and has
good.
managed to suckle enough milk from these two moms. They're not exactly lovey-dovey with him, but they do
Mhm.
occasionally groom him and they allow him to suckle.
So you can have
So he was
nourishment.
like a survivor, yeah. And then we got notice that like a couple weeks ago he broke his leg or he sprained his leg. His leg was very, very, very swollen, and we thought that was the end of Stumbles. And he has persevered. And so we're
Oh.
like convinced he's going to be like an epic dominant male one day. And he does have brothers, half brothers, so they can form a very powerful coalition when they grow up.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he obviously has the resilience and the grit, and he's a fighter. So he's only Stumbles is 3 months old now, 4 months old. He's still
Mhm.
very, very little, but
Very
we're
young.
hopeful that he'll
Yes. Yes.
survive. So,
I hear
so
that
yeah, so
storyline
it's
through there. That's going to be a good story.
quite a story already. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
everybody loves watching you and Becky. So this is Dr. Rebecca Cliff, right?
Yes,
So
my best
yeah,
friend.
everyone loves watching you guys and your stories and the laughter and the shenanigans.
We have so much fun.
I
Yeah.
mean, you have to. You have
Yeah.
to. But I
Yeah.
love it because it's kind of like you met your conservation soulmate.
Exactly. And we both have the same mindset of like laughing versus crying, you know.
Yes.
I mean, we cry too, but like we try to
Yeah.
laugh about things and,
Yeah.
try to yeah, just be there for each other.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good to have. It's so good to have. And then you're working on an elephant book.
Yes, so I'm at the my next children's book, which I'm just starting to write, is called An Elephant Diary. So it's a
Hmm.
spin-off Leopard Diary and Meerkat
Hmm.
Diary. So the
Yes.
elephant next volume.
Oh,
And that's
good.
based on a long project that Becky and I did with elephant herds at a place called Mashatu,
Hmm.
with babies again. So yeah, so
That's my dream. I want to see elephants and baby elephants.
they're amazing.
I don't know why. It's like I live in Indiana. I live in Indiana, and I'm an hour from Indianapolis. And a few years ago, there was a job at the zoo for an elephant caretaker, and I was like, should I do it? Should I go shovel poop? I don't know. Is it worth the hour drive, an hour back? I don't know, but I did consider it.
Got to go to Africa and see elephants.
Yes, I do. It's on my list, on my list. So
Yeah.
when will we expect that book? You have another
That book
year?
is, no, it's wild. I'm starting it now. It'll be published in
Okay.
2028.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yeah, this is
goodness.
publishers. Publishers are like so far. I thought I was far because I've got my tours planned out for 2027. No,
Yes.
they're way worse. They've got their publishing schedule planned out till the end of 2028. So it'll come out
Wow.
spring of 2028.
Okay. Well, we'll watch for that. We'll watch for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If you have questions for Suzi, go ahead and put those in the Q&A and we're going to get to ask her some questions. But I know you also have sort of a new endeavor of your planning safari. People can go on safari with you, on
Yeah.
tour with you, but you're
Yeah.
also doing some customized planning safaris for people because you have all this knowledge.
Yes,
It's
yes. So
amazing.
yeah, so one of the things that, I'm sure some people know this about my journey, but I just got done with cancer treatment,
Yes.
uh, and had a 2 year long battle with that. And I am always going to do my group tours, but I'm probably going to tone the travel back a little bit. Only because, the great gift of cancer, and it really is truly like cancer brings you so many gifts. It's hard, but it brings you so many gifts. And one of them is just that your priorities, which you already always knew in your head,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of feel them in your soul after this, and you kind of live them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to be present in my personal life. And Danny's only 6 and I'm about to get married. And
Mm-hmm.
so just to tone the travel back, I'll always do my travel and always do my adventures, but just do a little bit less of it.
Yes.
And one of the things that I love doing that really suits that less travel thing is just planning these tours.
Mm-hmm.
And what is really nice with this new endeavor is that I'm planning custom safaris for people that are not led by me. They're led by all my favorite local guides and local experts. But it's great because I'm able to just say to someone, okay, you want to go here. What's your dream? What do you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
photograph?
yeah,
What kind of places do you like to stay? And so, it's even better than designing my tours, because designing my tours is like, okay, what do I want to do? What do my clients want to do? But this is
yeah.
like a specific individual person or a group of friends or
True.
maybe
Different dreams that
family.
you get to make come true, kind of.
Exactly. I can
That's
take
cool.
their dream and actually make it a reality for
Yeah.
them. And I do that from home. And I love doing it. That's one of my
Mhm.
favorite things about the tour biz anyway, is crafting these itineraries and putting them together. And so now I get to do that more with this custom safari business. And
Yes.
it's been really successful, and I really,
That's
really
good.
love doing it. Yeah.
That's
And
good.
like you said, I have all the contacts, so it's kind of like, why not?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and
And if
I'll
you
only
like
do
doing it,
places. I love doing it, and I'll
mhm,
only do places that I know.
yeah,
So if
that
it's
makes sense.
a region of the world that I don't have experience and I don't have personal contacts with, I don't have value to give that person. So I
Right.
will always do places that I know, because
And
that's where my
trust.
real
Yeah.
value comes in. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
know so many of us were sending thoughts and prayers and all when your whole journey. So I'm so
Thank you.
thankful that
Thanks.
cancer-free post came and that was
Yes.
wonderful. And then I was telling you the engagement post was just like so much joy that it was just so nice to see all that joy. It was so wonderful. So it's so
Yeah, it was
good.
a huge surprise of my life. So yeah.
But now that you get to do this from home and like all your like goals and growth are all coming together that you can kind of do everything you want to do and then get to stay home some too more. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is cool. And I think, you have this sweet spot of like, I still want to travel and I want to have my
Right.
adventures and I want to photograph my baby animals, but I also want to
Right.
enjoy my personal life more, which I think I neglected a lot in my first 20 years of my career.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think like things just become clearer, like you said, even after 40, like things become clearer,
totally.
like who you
Totally.
are and what you want, and then you make
Yeah,
those things happen. Yeah. It's not
yeah,
perfect, of course,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you try to make it work. Yeah.
yeah.
That's so true. So, at the end, I'll tell everybody where they can find you, but they can definitely go to
Oh,
your website and
yeah,
take advantage of the safari planning. And
yep, it's all on
um,
there.
we do have a question in the Q&A.
Okay.
Let me see. Vanessa says, if Becky is busy, are you looking for any assistance? Wink, wink. This is Vanessa. I can't
Hi,
pronounce her
Vanessa.
last name. I think you know her.
Vanessa Abuabara, I think, is
Yes,
am I
that's who
saying
it
it right? Okay. Um, yes, I'll let you know if there's an opening. Although I don't
Yeah.
think Becky would allow that. Becky
Yeah.
said that she
Yeah.
would murder me if I ever take anyone else.
Yeah, I think that we're all like lining up to be your assistant. Okay, and then we have another one from Maureen. She says, "Is there a baby species you've always wanted to photograph and you haven't yet?"
Um, yeah, there's so many. I made a bucket list.
Mm.
I want to say it was 5 years ago, and there were like 72 stories that I wanted to cover. Not necessarily species, but
Oh, that's
stories.
fun.
So there's tons that I'd love to photograph.
Mhm.
I don't know what just came to my head, but baby flamingos, one of the ones that is really
Oh,
high on my bucket
interesting.
list. I just think they're so adorable. And then the way they nest is really very interesting.
Mhm.
And there's like really challenging access issues because of the water and the alkaline in the water. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it's kind of like an adventure. And then I've done a little bit with baby wombat in rescue, but I would love to
Mm.
do baby wombat in the wild and do it properly. And no one's really
Mhm.
done a good baby wombat story
Mm.
in the wild. And
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
I would absolutely love to do a solid baby giraffe piece, but Becky always tells me that would be really boring. So I'm working on her for that one.
Gotta talk her
Um,
into that.
yeah, there's dusky langur monkeys
Mm.
in Thailand that are absolutely stunningly beautiful. The adults have these really beautiful markings on their cheeks, and their babies are bright golden orange, like solid bright golden
Oh
orange.
my goodness.
Yes, it's absolutely like
Are
they're.
they in your book, the new on
Yes,
Earth? I
I
think I remember that.
photographed one
Yes,
in
yes. Okay, yes,
rescue.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I thought I
Those ones
remembered
are
those because I had
incredible.
never seen those before till I looked at that book. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
interesting.
the one that's in the book is not a dusky langur. He's
Okay.
the silver one. But yeah, langur monkeys. There's certain. I think there's maybe 5 or 6 species of langur monkeys that have the orange babies. So
So
yeah,
cool.
there's so many of them.
Someone says Brazilian tree porcupines too. They are orange as babies. That's what Jessica says. Very cool.
Oh, that's lovely. I didn't know that. That's really a
That's so
baby
cool.
anteater I'd love to do. I've photographed a few here and there, but never done it
Mhm,
properly. So it would be
mhm.
amazing to follow a mom, and no one's ever done that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that no one's ever done, and you're like,
Well, with
"See, this is where
that,
you come in."
yeah, and it's hard because some of those moms are really shy, so you'd have to
Yeah,
work, really hard to habituate them.
yes, and I think you said, did you take 17 days for the jackals? Was that right?
Yeah, 17
17
days to
days, yeah.
habituate them.
And tell us
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know, but if in case people don't know, tell us why it's so important to give animals time like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, so first of all, you never want to negatively impact an animal.
Yeah,
And the most basic thing is like, you never want to impact an animal. Let's talk about eating. You don't want to ever make them stop eating, right? And
right.
so if you look at like grazing animals, if you come up on a grazing animal and they stop eating and look at you, if they don't go back to eating, you're negatively impacting their behavior, right? If they're
Mhm,
just bug-eyed and watching you after that, then okay, I
mhm,
need to back off. Obviously, if they run away, you also need to know to back off. But so we don't want to be stopping them from doing what they're naturally doing. And then with moms, it becomes even more critically important
right.
that we've got to really start with them very gently and habituate them to our presence if they're not already habituated. Some animals already are, but
Mhm,
even those habituated animals, if they have a young animal, or a newborn, let's say, you
mhm,
can have the most habituated animal in the world, but if they're just post birth, they can be super squirrely, right? So like
mhm,
it's just like
mhm.
a human mom, after
Yeah,
you've got all those post birth hormones coming through you, you want to protect your baby. You're in this sort of mode where you just want to nest, you just want to go into your den with your baby, and you want everybody to leave you alone. So not only if you come upon an animal like that too quickly or too hard, not only are you going to negatively impact her and stress her out, which is really terrible to do to a mom with a newborn,
yes.
might stress her so much that she might leave her baby. She might move her baby because of you. And anytime an animal moves their baby, they're at risk.
Mhm,
Some animals move their babies regularly, like lions, but
mhm,
others don't unless they're disturbed. And
mhm.
so one of the things that, with moms that you have to be super careful of is that, but also the safety factor for you, because moms are very dangerous, right? Moms
Mhm,
of any species can be quite
mhm.
dangerous. And that's one of the things that you always have to be aware of is that if there's a mom and a baby, there's an extra safety risk here that
Yes,
I'm taking. So it keeps us safe as well as keeping them happy. And they're just like out there trying to make a living, right?
to survive, right.
That's all they're doing.
Mhm,
And so we don't really want to stop them from doing any of
right,
that.
right.
Yeah. So it's
Mama
so, so
bear is the mama bear phrase is real.
and the other thing that I should mention too, we'll get better photos because if you are negatively impacting an animal and all
Mhm,
they're doing is staring at you with a
right,
bug-eyed look, okay, that might be nice for one portrait, but after that, that's
right,
all you're gonna get. And
right,
what I love is that interaction between mom and baby, where maybe if they are looking at you, they're looking at you very gently and they're interacting with their young.
right.
And
You see
that's
the
the best part.
playfulness, yeah, and all the
Yeah, because
behavior.
if they're
Mhm,
used to you being there, then they're just going to live out their lives as if you're not there, right? So I always
right,
think that for me to be successful in a project, I've got to reach a point with that animal where I'm just like a boulder in their landscape. They don't
mhm,
even notice me and they're
mhm.
just doing their thing. And then I can do real work, but I've
Yeah,
got to get there first.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
so cool. It's so cool. And it's definitely a goal. Like it's goals for all of us to get there and to
Yeah.
make sure we're not impacting. It's
Yeah.
so hard sometimes in the national parks because they are used to use, but then sometimes, they're upset and will cross the river or something and then I always feel bad, so it's like just
Absolutely.
being
Yeah.
very careful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. To be careful and then also to just prioritize the animal's welfare over a photo. And then
Yeah.
also to give yourself as much time as possible. That's the other thing, because we get stressed when we don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why I do these really long projects, because I know that if I'm there for, a period of days or weeks or whatever, I'm eventually going to get the shot,
Yeah.
hopefully, fingers
Yeah.
crossed, if I have
Yes.
enough time.
Yeah. I've heard that advice too. If you're going for 2 days, make it 3. If you're going for 5, try to make it
Totally.
7,
Yeah.
as much as your budget can make it, just because
Yeah.
you want to give that animal time and yourself time to let everything settle. And yeah, that's good
Yeah.
advice. Um, what has been your favorite place to shoot wildlife? That's probably hard. Do you have a favorite place? That
I
is
think,
from my daughter Elena. She asked me.
oh, Elena, I think that overall it's Africa, hands
Mhm.
down.
Mhm.
Um, Where in Africa is, I would still say probably Botswana is the best country for, like, it is not suitable for every budget, but
Yeah.
for people who can afford it, Botswana is, I think, hands down the best. Um, but yeah, in general, the continent of Africa just has so much diversity, and the wildlife is so prolific. If you choose the
Mhm.
right places, you've
Mhm.
got to
Mhm.
choose the right places. Um, and then it just, to me, it doesn't really, everything else pales. I do go to other places, obviously, and every year I do tours to other places. And that's really, really amazing. But yeah, Africa's always my favorite.
Yeah, that's what people have said. Jen, you just don't understand. You just photograph all day. It's just so fun. And I'm like,
Yeah.
someday, someday I'll get there.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it feels like going from, the West to Katmai, and the bear, like, it's just like there's bears all day. You can
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's such a great feeling to get to just be with animals all day and not have to just keep looking and looking and looking. It's just you feel like you're in like a, I don't know, utopia or something.
I would totally agree. Like within the continental US,
Mhm.
I would say Alaska is
Yeah.
the place for wildlife
Yeah.
photography. That's my favorite,
Yeah.
hands down. I think a very close second for me is Monterey.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, after reading all your books and everything, and then just researching this week again, is like, I need to go to Monterey.
Monterey is amazing.
Oh
You
my
can
goodness, what an
see
amazing place to grow up.
so much wildlife in Monterey,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
very easily accessible. In a lot of other places on the West Coast, you need special permits to see certain animals. But in Monterey, everything is very easily accessible,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not just mammals, but birds as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That would
yeah,
be
it's a
very
pretty
cool.
cool
I
place.
just went all
Yeah.
the way to Vancouver Island, like all the way to the top to do sea otters and orcas. And then, of course, you have the protections and the amount of yards and meters or whatever you're supposed to be away, which is right.
Yeah.
But like we went for sea otters and it was still hard. So we're like, maybe we should have gone to California.
Yeah, because the thing about Monterey, especially if you know where to go, like the Elkhorn Slough, is the otters are going to approach you.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
yeah, and so it's when I've tried to photograph sea otters in Canada and Alaska, I've definitely had very different experiences. You get the
Yes.
odd one that's very habituated in a harbor or something.
Right. Yes.
Generally
Yes.
speaking, they're much shyer up there.
Yes. They were. And then you have to stay far back. And then, so it was hard. So we didn't get the moms and
Yeah,
babies like we did see some, but it's still, you
yeah,
always have things on your dream list. So
yeah, yeah, for
okay.
sure.
What keeps you motivated in an increasingly talented wildlife photography field? That was another question.
That's a good question. I don't concern myself too much about what other people are doing.
Yeah.
I like going on Instagram every once in a while and checking out my colleagues' work,
Hmm.
but I have always been very sort of head in the sand, do what you do.
Hmm.
And I try to grow as a photographer and get better. But more important to me is just that I am doing what I'm passionate about. And
Yeah.
so I really, I don't really look, I do look at what other people do, but not intensely at all.
Or like as a comparison because you're in your lane.
I'm in my lane and I largely ignore the other traffic. But what I will say is that like I do remember I haven't been to a conference in a long time, but like when I have gone to conferences, I do remember, and I think all of us feel this, and if we don't, there's probably something wrong with us, but like feeling inspired, but at the same time you're inspired, feeling inadequate
Yeah.
by what other people are doing.
Yeah,
So
totally.
conferences are always like this double-edged sword, right? But
Mhm.
and a little bit of that is good because it keeps you growing,
Mhm.
but maybe it's because the wildlife is the most important part to me rather than the photos.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I I just feel like I just don't pay attention that much to what other people are doing. That sounds
Yeah.
terrible, but I
No, I
don't.
think that's good advice. That's good advice. And we talk a lot on this podcast about how you have your goal and it might take a while to get there, but it's small, actionable steps and stepping out in fear sometimes. And then when you look back, you've kind of been in your own lane and you've done your thing and you've accomplished a lot when you look back. And so, I mean, I could see that in your career, that determination and focus and passion has just been there since you were 6. It's like
Yeah,
crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But
Pretty
that
determined.
wildlife is just your passion and you're totally focused and it's evident. It's evident.
Yeah, and I think we have to stay up to date with the photography stuff, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just switched to mirrorless. I was late doing that because of my treatment, and then after I finished treatment, I finished mirrorless, or sorry, I went on to mirrorless, and I
Mhm.
definitely had to educate myself because I switched from Canon to Sony,
Oh,
so I had to learn a whole
interesting.
new system
Yes.
and had to really sort of educate myself and that's been really good for me as a photographer to have to learn a new system, and I think it's actually helped me grow a lot,
Yeah.
and now having to teach that on for my clients that want it on my tours has been also another layer of challenge, which has been really good for me.
Yeah. I think that's what David Duchovny was on and he was talking about that. When we have friction, it spurs our creativity, like the
Yeah,
challenge of it. And
yeah,
sometimes if we're just complacent or not learning something new, we're not our creativity is low because we're not doing anything to challenge it. So that's really interesting that you noticed that changing
yeah,
systems. Yeah,
yeah,
that's very cool.
yeah.
And another question was, let me see. Let's see. What's your dream photo in the dream scenario? This is from Danny. She's on tonight.
Dream
Dream
photo.
photo, dream photo, dream scenario. That might be hard, but you might have it because if you have a punch list, if you have
I
a
do. I mean, so I always like people are always like, "What's your favorite animal?" And I'm
that's
like, "Well,
hard.
besides dogs,
Yeah.
it's always the animal I'm currently working on because I get
Yes.
like obsessed with that, right?" And
Yes.
so, um, I think in some ways it's like the dream photo is the one you didn't get, like the one you missed, the one that got away.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think that the one of the greatest dreams for me would be it's not something I would ever do in the wild at this point because there's
Mhm.
no way you could do it without stressing out a mother.
Mhm.
But baby snow leopard would be
Oh, interesting.
absolutely
Yes. Yes. That's a big goal.
right.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be that's like a dream, like actual dream because it's just not possible.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
particularly not possible without causing immense stress on a
Right.
mother.
Right. Right.
And so it's a no-go for me because it's just not it's not doable.
Yeah. Maybe the
Uh,
technology will catch up.
yeah, and then the other ones too, like there's some subjects that I would love to do babies of, like
Mhm.
lowland gorillas. I gave them a
Mhm.
whirl in Congo a few years ago, and it was
Mhm.
incredibly difficult.
Mhm.
They're much shyer than mountain gorillas, and I would
Mhm.
absolutely love to do lowland gorilla babies. Bonobo, they're huge on my bucket list. I would
Mhm.
love to work with bonobos.
Mhm.
Um, but there's a lot of political instability where they are.
Right.
So, they're
I
not
was gonna
really
say that's a big factor in some of these places, like when you went to Congo and places like that, it's a big factor.
Yeah, and Congo is pretty stable, but like
Mhm,
the bonobos are in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is really
mhm.
unstable.
Okay, yes.
And then the bonobos are also not that habituated, so it'd be
Mhm.
very
Days
difficult
and
to
days and
do
days and
maybe.
days, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So you need, gosh, with animals that intelligent,
Yes.
takes years to habituate chimps, years of
Mhm.
scientists going out every single day. So unless they're actually already habituated, it's never going to happen as a
Mhm.
photographer.
This is where you're
Certain,
gonna retire. You're gonna do this in your retirement.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You'll be
But there's
75
so
out there.
many, there's so many dream scenarios and dream photos that I would absolutely love to get.
Yeah,
But for me,
yeah.
my favorite photos are always the ones that feel like really intimate,
Mhm.
where you feel like you're in the den with
Yes.
an animal. And I'm very drawn to big cats, which is pretty obvious in my work, but like where you just feel like you're almost in the den with the
Yeah,
animal.
that's so cool.
Yeah, and the intimacy, and it feels like you're almost watching in secret, but the mom knows you're there.
Right,
It's like you have a
right.
secret window,
She
and
knows,
that's
yeah.
my favorite.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Suba asks, what can an individual who is working in a full-time job, how
Mhm.
can they contribute to or be a part of conservation besides educating friends and family on the why and the how? This was going to be one of our questions when we ended was, how do we give back? Some of us are doing this part-time, some of us
Yep.
are doing this as hobbies,
Yep.
but most people I talk to are so passionate about this, even if it's
Yeah.
their hobby and they only get to do it on the weekends or take,
Yeah.
a couple trips a year.
Totally.
So many dedicated people to wildlife, so
Yeah.
many. So
Yeah.
how do I know
I've got a
you are a
great
patron of.
example.
Okay.
Yeah. I got a huge example. So, first and foremost, I would say, um, what I've personally done is I've handpicked
Mhm.
about 12 organizations that I've said, okay, I'm going to work to help you for long term,
Mm,
right? Like for years to come. And it's easier for me to pick that many because they're a part of my job, right? So a
yeah,
certain number of my hours every day I'm dedicating to those conservation orgs, right? Because I just feel like it's just woven in as a part of my job.
yeah,
Uh, for someone who has like a completely unrelated full-time job,
yeah.
very good example is my friend Janessa,
Mhm,
who had a full-time job. She's now a mom. I think she's back working now. But anyway, she had a full-time job. This is before she had her baby.
mhm.
And she not related to conservation. And she was the Sumatran Orangutan Society's volunteer. I came onto the Sumatran Orangutan Society as a patron, which is basically like the UK word for ambassador.
Mhm.
And when we wanted to do a fundraiser in the Bay Area, they linked me up with Vanessa or Janessa, sorry.
Mhm.
And Janessa and I have some chemo brain if you haven't noticed, but Janessa and I,
Well, there's also Vanessa on, so it's okay.
that's true. But I do have wicked chemo brain. But anyway, Janessa and I, we did this fundraiser.
Mhm.
And in her spare time and in the evenings and on the weekends, she helped me organize this fundraiser. And I would say she did the majority of the organization. I came in as the speaker,
Mhm.
showing my photos and sort of one of the draws of the event. We had a live auction, etc. She was the one that was doing all the catering stuff,
Yeah, it's a
organizing
lot of
all.
work.
Yeah, it was like months that we did
Mhm,
this, and
mhm,
she did 90% of it
mhm,
by herself and
mhm,
did it in her spare time in addition to her full-time job.
mm,
For years after that, she also continued to do various things for the Sumatran Orangutan Society.
mhm,
So I think one very powerful way that people can get involved is to find an organization. Lots of them have regional chapters. So another great example is like the Cheetah Conservation Fund in the United States.
mhm,
They've got a regional chapter here in the Bay Area. And so you find a regional chapter of a conservation org that is doing good things and really like find one that's very active that can actually really use you
mhm,
and say, hey, this is my area of expertise. I want to volunteer for a conservation organization and dedicate my time and my energy, and this is what I can bring to the table. Do you want my help?
That's
And then
amazing.
stay committed to that one organization and funnel
Hmm.
all your energy into that one. So
Hmm.
you essentially become like a cheetah ambassador or
Yeah.
an orangutan ambassador,
Yeah.
and you champion that species, or
Mhm.
that maybe it's
Mhm.
a rainforest organization, right? You
Mhm.
champion rainforests. And that's what you do for long term, for years. I think the problem comes when we get so overwhelmed with what's happening with the planet. I
Yeah.
should do this for seahorses. I should do this for bears. I should do this, whatever. But to just focus on one thing that you can make a difference with
Yeah.
and stay dedicated to
Yeah.
that. We can do that in our spare time outside of a full-time job.
Yeah. Take your skills and offer them
Yeah,
and then
totally.
stay with it and almost become like a specialist for that organization.
Absolutely. And you
Yeah.
can be like raising awareness for them on social media. People will start to be like, that's the cheetah girl, or
Hmm.
that's my friend Jenna did that for the Cheetah Conservation Fund. And, people are always like, oh, that's the cheetah girl. She does stuff for cheetah. Because for years she did, and
Yeah.
dedicated
Yeah.
time and energy. And she
Yeah.
had a full-time job too.
Yeah.
So we can all do stuff on our side. But yeah, I think staying focused is the key.
Yeah. That's a very good advice. Uba says thank you. That was fantastic. Just fantastic. That's good.
Oh, yay,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad I could be
Yeah.
useful.
So, this has been so good. I don't want to get off, but we are over our hour, way over our hour, but I could
Okay.
talk forever about all of this. But where can people find you? Where do
So
people
they
find?
can go to my website
Yes.
at susieeszterhas.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then also my Instagram as well. My rescue dog has come over to say hi, Ginger. Um, and they can come out. They can come and email me,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
check my website out. Follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
they can find prints there and your tours there. But the tours you can find it from that website, but you also have a
yes,
website for the custom tours and for your
yeah,
tours.
yeah. You can find it on my main website, but it's susieeszterhastours.com.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
And so the lion project and the elephant, is there anything else coming up in the next few years that's major? That's
Yeah,
dreams and
this is
goals?
kind of embarrassing. I'm shy about it, but I have a documentary about me coming out at the
Oh,
end of
I
the
saw
year.
that. I was wondering
Yeah,
about that. Do you
yeah,
know when
it's
it's
a
coming out?
well, we don't know yet, but
Yeah.
the editing is to be completed in December.
Oh, that's
Um,
so
and
fun.
then I'm working with, there's an independent film crew that have been amazing, and they do these 30-minute profile pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and they contacted me and asked if they could do it. I was in the middle of treatment, so they're like,
Oh,
"Well,
wow.
wait," and so they did, and so I did it. I actually did the filming right after treatment ended, so
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was sort of dreading it in a way, because it's not easy to see myself like that, but also at the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
time, I figured get over my vanity and just embrace it for what it is. But yeah, it was at a very like raw place, but
Yes, yes. I think it's
they
gonna speak to so many people, and
yeah,
I
they talk
saw that on
about
your Instagram. I'm like, "When is this coming out? I've gotta see this," because
yeah,
I think it will speak to so many people, and you just inspire so many of us to follow this passion and keep speaking up for wildlife, and
yeah.
I just you're not only affecting children and with children's books, you're definitely there's a lot of, like, 30, 40, 50-year-olds that are still being affected by you.
Yay,
So
I
thank
like
you
that.
so much. Yes.
Yeah,
We're
thank
all
you.
we're all kind of cheering you on, and
Thank
I feel like there's so many of us in this now, and it's just a great community. So it's so nice to meet you. And I'm so thankful
thank
that
you,
we got
Jen.
to have time together and learn so much about you. And then next week is our anniversary or birthday issue. So people are turning Maureen Matson and Jenny Cannon, who sort of helped start this podcast with me a year ago. They're turning the tables on me, and I have to answer questions next week. So I don't know who's going to tune into that, but people can register in my bio on Instagram, Jen L. Ritchie, or the Wildlife Conversations podcast Instagram. So, but it's been so wonderful, Suzi. Thank you so much, and come back anytime. Anytime you have anything you want to talk about, you can come back.
I would love to come back. I will
Yeah.
come back. Yeah, all you have
Thank
to do
you.
is ask, and I will absolutely be here. I really enjoyed this, and I love what you've created here.
Well,
So I
thank
look
you.
forward to watching more podcasts and following you, and
Well,
yeah, just
thank
being
you
a
so
part of the
much.
community. So yeah, if you want me to come in for a quick chat or whatever,
Oh, that
just
would be wonderful. Yes, yes, because we're going to
okay,
be following your
anytime.
adventures. I want to see how what happens to your lion cub too. So
Okay, yeah, let you know what happens with stumbles.
yes, stumbles. We got to see what happens. Well,
Okay,
thank you
awesome.
everyone for joining us. They're clapping and giving us like strong things in the comments. Everyone's saying thank
Thank you.
you. So thanks everybody for joining us. This is such a great community. So we'll see you all next week. Please join us for that and we'll see each other again. So thank you so much, Susie.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
John.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.